Hi, it's Paul here from Copy Cognition, and today I just want to have a look at a couple of features that are quite unique to Bard and are worth playing with, and also some of the problems that Bard can also have. Um, Now, up until recently, one advantage Bard had over ChatGTP was the ability to pull in real-time information. Now, with the latest update and the fact that you can use the plugins and web browsing and DALI E3 all together at the same time. This is no longer an issue per se with ChatGTP, as we shall see in a second. But the great thing is that you could get to a position whereby in Bard you could just ask a question about something that's happening today or tomorrow or next week, and it would be able to provide an up-to-date answer. So, for example, here I placed in a very simple prompt asking it what are the English Premier League soccer fixtures for Saturday 11th November, Bard will quite quickly give me an answer, and I'd be very surprised if the answer wasn't accurate. It's thinking. It's a bit slow today. Let's give it a second. Okay, so it's given me quick response. We've got Wolves versus Spurs, Arsenal, Burnley, Palace, Everton, etc. Now, if we look at the BBC website, we will see that this is in fact correct and includes, and the timings are correct as well. Hang on, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Newcastle, yeah, that's at the bottom. That's fine. So that's always been great. Now, as I said, as of at least the latest update, and before, if you've been using web browsing, um, you can achieve the same in ChatGTP. Now, if it will be quicker or slower, but it's basically telling you what it's doing, which I think is quite interesting. The new chat is, what I do like is it sort of walks you through its whole process in a way that Bard doesn't at the moment, but of course that can always change. Slow, and I suppose Bard was slow as well. I don't know which one is the faster. I think Bard is a bit quicker. I'm not sure. ChatGPT needs to go to all of these sites to get this information. Crumbs. It's really going through all of the. We're going to get a response. Yep, that's right. Okay. It's telling us where we can stream these. So it's actually giving us a lot more information, which is quite interesting and quite useful. I mean, you could do the same with NFL or the NBL or whatever. I think it's over actually the baseball league, but NBA. So same principle, but basically it's giving us all the information correctly. So that's great. But for those of you who are following the little series of it that we are doing on creating detailed articles from data sets, you will probably know that we use Bard to get some or gather some information for an article that we were writing at the same time in ChatGTP. At the time we were writing this article, you weren't able to use multiple different plugins as well as data analysis, the data analysis tool, as well as DALI at the same time. Obviously, that's changed in the last week or so, but when we actually were doing so, you couldn't. And actually, ChatGTP wasn't giving us the information anyway, so we reverted to using Bard to gather the information. And one of the problems that we found is that Bard tended to produce, if we go across back to it, Bard tended to produce what one would refer to as variable, let's say, and inconsistent data. So you it was difficult to be 100% sure what data it provided was accurate. And this is always a problem with any factual information that you have to pull out of H, an AI chatbot. If it doesn't know, it'll tend to make it up or tend to make assumptions, so to speak. So here's a little clip from that session, and you will see exactly what I mean. It's one of the things I don't like about Bard is I don't often trust its results. You would think that that wouldn't be the case, bearing in mind it's drawing constantly from Google search, but I'm not always convinced. But one of the things I do like about Bard is it provides three different options. A lot of people don't know this. So if you go up to view other drafts, it'll give you three different alternatives. Now this is very much along the lines of the tree of thought process. Anybody who knows anything about prompting will understand that ChatGPT is non-determinant. It doesn't give you the same answer all the time. So some answers are better than others. And the tree of thought process is to set up a system whereby you ask it a question and then you ask it to provide you with various different answers. And then you ask ChatGPT itself or the language model itself to assess these answers and decide which is the most accurate answer. And then you work from there. And this is how you get far better quality work, so to speak. But here, the great thing about Bard is you don't have to go through that process or the first part of the process. It will provide us with three different options. Now, what's interesting about this is when you start looking at the options, you start to see problems immediately. First of all, we've got a completely separate list. Again, we've got the same warnings. Uh, and in some respects, the more interesting or more detailed information about factors that affect carbon sequestration. But obviously, ChatGPT has already confirmed this, which is good. Which knows we're on the right track with regard to age, tree size, health and dense conditions, etc. So we know we're on the right track there. But it's given us a different set of trees, and where it's given us just a basic common name, and it was something that we looked at in the previous video with the problem of the taxonomy and the name of the trees. We wanted just a name because it would make our job a little bit easier, bearing in mind we were never going to be able to get precise data anyway. So this would seem to be the better option. But if we now look at this, so for example, we have Douglas fir here. If we go at 10 to 15, and then we've got Douglas fir somewhere here at 20. So yeah, immediately we've got a difference. Now, it's as I said, the figures are estimates anyway, but it's something to bear in mind. We've got two different answers here. And we go to the third one, we got Douglas fir at 8.8. So it's all the same calculation, and that's the amount of carbon dioxide per hectare per year per tree. So, and again, as you can see, but we're now in a position where, and these figures seem a lot lower than other figures, and I did do a search as well just to check, and the figures that appeared to be closest to what is considered to be correct are these three. So, in terms of Bard, Draft 2 proved to be the better answer. So we use the information from draft 2, but it's useful for anybody to know. When you do anything in Bard, always go up and click view other drafts. It's very, very important, because you're going to start to see how language models actually work, how language models actually uh, you know, can provide you different information, and why sometimes you have to ask the same question several times, analyze the results, and then maybe ask the language model itself which is the best answer, to fine tune what you're getting and get far more accurate results. Now, this is another reason why a lot of the articles that are being published by people who are using ChatGPT, you have to be very, very careful. You have to be careful, especially if you don't know the topic. And I didn't know much about trees. Obviously, I know a lot more about trees after having done this. But it's been an interesting process, and it sort of like highlighted the fact that you do need to have some sort of idea as to what you're doing, or it would help if you did at least, rather than just taking the answer at face value. So we chose 2. Now, returning to what we've just done today, uh, we can see one of the advantages, as I said, looking at the other video, was the idea that, or the fact that Bard provides us with drafts. And here we had the same thing looking at the query we just done on Premier League fixtures. And we will find that, again, the information is just laid out in a different way, is exactly the same, unlike in the clip that I've just played you. And again, perfectly accurate. So all 3 drafts provide us with exactly the same information, which is helpful. But the problem is, well, obviously, ChatGPT gave us the correct answer, but we don't have this same option in ChatGPT. We would have to run the prompt 3 times to get this same information. So this is definitely a way in which Bard is useful and can provide a better context. The sort of supplementary searches just to tech will uh, verify which is the most accurate system. And of course, you could always go through the tree of thought process and ask Bard or even a ChatGPT, bring the answers through to ChatGPT, ask them to assess which is the most accurate, and then pull this process down, and you're going to get a far better, far more accurate set of results. But it was just something I thought that was interesting to draw people's attention to, because a lot of people don't realize that Bard has this draft system, uh, and that these drafts can, if it's unsure of itself, these drafts can vary. But here, very factual, very easy for all these drafts to actually be the same. Okay, that's it really. I'll see you in the next video.